If you don't know me, I'm Bruce Wayne, and these are my opinions. My opinions alone. I'm a creative individual. I do, web design, graphic design. I've also been in recovery for a long time, and actually, believe it or not, those things do go hand in hand. Before I got into recovery, and this is not going to be just a recovery oriented vidcast, I don't think. But before I got into recovery, my brain was so clouded with stress, anxiety, and fear that it was really hard for me to be creative at all. All I kept seeing was the fog of, negativity that surrounded me 24 hours a day. One of the things that I would like to talk about today is the economy. Everybody's freaking out about the economy, or if you're not freaking out about the economy, then you just don't know what's going on, which is generally where I'm at. I have no idea what's going on, but unfortunately, I was going through my. I was trying to sync my iPod to my radio on my car, and I got onto the BBC and some other news channels, and I got a healthy dosage of what's going on out there. It's a big deal, but it's been coming for some time. The more research I did on it, the more I was like, okay, people knew. People knew what was going on, and the things they tried to do to fix it, were pretty drastic and pretty retarded. And so here we are. Here we are, paying the price. Lots of people getting laid off, but we're not going to dwell on negativity, because that's not the solution. The solution is never in negativity. And the solution for me, if you've listened to my podcast at all, the solution for me is to identify the fear of what's really going on, identify, what the real issue is. And the real issue generally comes back to the person I'm looking at on the video camera, because I got the little LCD screen flipped around, and right there, that is the problem. And what the steps taught me, and anybody can, apply the steps. One of the reasons why I'm doing this video cast is because I think a lot of people think that, that's just for them alcoholics, or it's just for them drug addicts, or those overeaters, or those sex addicts, or those codependents, or those Al-Anon people. It's ironic that more and more and more, these different factions keep using the steps, because the steps really are, in a way, a dumbed down version of a spiritual path. The spiritual path is not what I was raised to believe that a spiritual path was. It's going to sprout frickin' wings and start flying around the room, because I'm a frickin' angel. There's one thing that you spend your life trying to do if you're trying to follow some type of spiritual path, and that is basically be yourself. And I could go on and on and on and just continue to dwell upon that, but these things are a lot shorter than my podcast, so I'm going to move along to what we're talking about today, which is the economy. The economy is affecting Anonymous Space and other people, around the world. Because this is not just a local, phenomenon. This is not about the United States or wherever it is that you're watching this. And the problem is fear. It's fear. Okay? I talk about fear. Well, hello, that's what's going on. That is what's going on. People are freaking out. The banks are freaking out. They don't want to lend money. See, the funny thing is people go after the banks like, what do you mean you don't want to lend money? The banks don't want to not lend money. That's how banks make money. Everybody's getting scared. And what happens when you get scared, what happens when you get that panic, that terror, one of the things that happens when people panic is they freeze. They start looking, and they want to see what's going to happen next. And they don't make anything happen next. They don't make the next move. Make the next move. Bruce's opinion about all this is make the next move. Somebody do something. For the love of God! Just kidding. No, but somebody do something because, and it starts at home. You know, it starts at home. Everybody's waiting for somebody else to fix the issue. General Motors is waiting for the president to bail them out. The president is only bailing them out so that, you know, he can say that General Motors didn't go under while he was in office with enough money to get them through to the new administration. Isn't that sweet? So, this isn't about Obama, and this isn't about government, and this isn't about banks. Because if the issue was that big, if the issue was that extreme, then there would be nothing I could do about it. I mean, I would be a victim. Fix it for me, please. Somebody do something. Help me. And you know what? I'm an adult. You know, I got to fix things on my own. And one of the things I have to realize is, what is panic causing me to not be creative? There's been a lot of research done that people cannot be creative when they are under a tremendous amount of anxiety. You know, but there are alternative solutions, and the problem is that when we panic, we fixate. And, you know, masterminds like Google understand that. They say, hey, man, you know, put down the code. Go play, you know, some frickin' Pac-Man. You know, because when you come back from playing Pac-Man or while you're playing Pac-Man, you're going to figure out, you know, that you were looking at it all wrong. Actually, it comes to mind is that when I bought my first waterbed a long time ago, and they shipped me this waterbed, and this waterbed had like 4 screws in the pack, okay? It had 4 screws, and it was a wooden waterbed, and you got to screw it together, and it had 4. It had 4 panels and 4 screws, okay? And I'm like, 4 screws. So I'm sitting there and I'm messing with it, and I'm messing with it, you know, all day long. I'm messing with it, and the panels keep falling off, you know, because there's not enough screws. Sleep on the ground again, because I've been sleeping on the ground up to the point where I bought this waterbed. 4 screws. Panels keep falling off. I can't put the thing together. And as I finally gave up, and I went to a meeting, and at the meeting, you know, I was talking to somebody about it. This guy says, hey, man, why don't you go get some more screws? And I was like, I thought about it, you know, but the hardware stores are closed. And he was like, well, you know, Walmart sells screws. Oh, yeah. Walmart sells screws. Walmart sells screws. Who would have thunk it? So I go to Walmart, I buy a bunch of screws, I go home, put the waterbed together, you know. So that's the way it works. You know, if you're fixated on what's going on right now, your creativity is lessened. When your creativity is lessened, you run out of options because you're not seeing alternatives. If something happened, you know, you got laid off, or you're having a job crunch, or you're worried about getting laid off, just know this, that you're still here. If you're anything like me, that's the first. Okay, I'm going to end on this, all right? Somebody told me the other day, you know, because I was going through it, I was stressing about money, and I was stressing about the websites, and I was stressing about, you know, what I'm going to do next, and I was looking for work, and there wasn't a whole lot of work out there. And one of the things that, you know, I was freaking out, just like my dog is, who's running back and forth, you know, underneath my feet. And I was freaking out, and this friend of mine stops and says, you know what, the universe will provide. And I know that. I believe in balance. I believe that there's balance in everything. I look around, I see nature, I see everything in perfect harmony, and nobody has to stand around, you know, us and our infinite wisdom who think that we rule the universe don't have to sit around and make sure that the trees get enough, you know, water. Actually, we're the ones that are making sure that the water is toxic so that they all die. But, you know, things just have a tendency to work themselves out. But what totally screws with me is how. That's what I spend 90% of my time worrying about. It's not whether or not it's going to happen, because I know it's going to happen. The question is, how is it going to happen? I want to know the how. I want to know the how, and I'm never allowed to know the how, and that's what really pisses me off. So, this time I'm really trying not to worry about the how. And those were my opinions.